You're not going to find a bigger fan than me regarding decentralization. I've been into decentralization for 30 years, if such a thing is possible. But people now, I mean, I couldn't get anyone to listen to me for 2 seconds talking about decentralization. Now everybody thinks it's a magic bullet. It is a powerful force, but only when it empowers more people. Bitcoin is amazing, a store of value that anybody has access to. This is something that didn't exist before. People around the world have a store of value that won't get diluted. I'm not going to go on and on about how wonderful Bitcoin is, but it's a cool, new product, if you want to call it that, that was not possible before, and now it works because of decentralization. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you can just take decentralization and apply it to anything and it'll be better. It just so happens that Bitcoin's features are only valuable because it's decentralized. But it doesn't mean that you can decentralize Uber and Twitter and they'll be better. In fact, I don't think they will. But there are many other things as well that we can decentralize that will be amazing new things and things we haven't even thought of yet. But first I want to debunk some of the decentralized this and that's, right? Uber. Uber's great. Why did Uber take off? Because it empowered people. You could get a ride wherever you are with this app for a better price than the taxis, it's a better experience, and the drivers. People have a car, now they're able to make money, and anybody could join this network. And, you know, it's great. Great company, great service, been doing wonderfully. People now, decentralized Uber. So, is decentralized Uber going to empower more people? No, because everybody, if you want to join the Uber network, you can. There's no problem with that. But we're going to get rid of the rent seekers, right? The corporate Uber office takes whatever they take, 30% of profits. So what if there was a decentralized application that simply matched up drivers with people who want rides, and it was all just peer-to-peer, and there was no central authority taking the 30%. Right? Amazing. Possible, I guess, but that central office, they built the software. They're building the software. I use the software. It's great. They keep working on it. It seems to be getting better. Sometimes new features. I mean, so who's going to build the decentralized Uber for no money? Now you say, oh, well, you pay them less than that evil 30% they're taking. Maybe. How much are you going to pay? I don't know. 10%, 15%. And you got to deal with the coordination of all these decentralized developers, and they make less money. But Uber's going to have a response. Maybe Uber cuts their profits down to 15%, and now what are you doing? So I don't see that happening. Similarly, decentralized Twitter, right? How are you going to empower more people? I love Twitter. I follow 30 to 40 experts. I research who I follow. If you want to see who I follow, my Twitter at DaveLevine0com. I'm not exciting to follow. I don't post a lot. But if you want to see who I follow, my newsfeed's awesome and interesting, and I learn, and pure crypto experts, except for Elon Musk. Oops. Anyways, so I don't have so if Twitter was decentralized, I don't know, that wouldn't help me. I don't know, there going to be more experts on the decentralized Twitter? Is more people going to have access? I mean, I don't see the advantage. People are like, well, there would be no more censorship. Is there censorship? I don't have a problem with censorship. None of the people I follow are censored. Any of the people you follow, are you being censored? No. Well, what about Alex Jones? I mean, listen, I'm not into censorship. I don't really even follow this stupidness with the Alex Jones. I don't want to get into the politics of whether they handled it correctly or not. It doesn't matter. In fact, if you want to hear about it, listen to Howard Stern talk about Alex Jones. He hit it spot on, and he's hilarious. But anyways, if you listen to Alex Jones, you got bigger problems than any of this, right? If you listen to it because you think it's funny, whatever. But that's not a problem. There's not a problem with censorship on Twitter. And I'm sure someone's going to reply with, oh my God, this and that. But, a whole new platform is going to be built on no censorship that's going to beat Twitter. Empower more people, have more experts on it? I'm not so confident. What's another one? In Facebook, decentralized Facebook. You know, so you got the censorship issue. We sort of talked about that. Well, what about being rewarded with some sort of token for posting content or sharing my data, right? Well, maybe something like that will happen. I don't know. But if it does, Facebook will just co-opt the technology, right? If some new social platform too starts growing before Facebook figures something out and they've got something working, Facebook will say, wow, great. They'll either copy it, fork it, buy the company, whatever, and integrate the technology. It is much harder to build Facebook's base of users with uploaded data and history and photos. Much harder to create that than to adopt some new features. So, and it reminds me, I remember when the internet started, you know, I may look 20, but I'm 50. And I remember when the internet started blowing up, you know, with the web, AOL was this dial-up service to digital content, a walled garden of their digital content, and the web came out, and you could just dial up and see a bigger world, and everyone, oh, AOL's gonna get killed. It's the end of AOL. How can they compete? Well, you know what AOL did? You would dial up, they had their content, and you could go see all this content on the internet. So not only did they not die, they grew faster than anyone expected, became huge, and bought Time Warner. Time Warner is another one, an entertainment company. Oh, they're going to be in trouble competing with the internet. Yeah, maybe, you know, Netflix is competing and causing problems for the old entertainment companies, but Time Warner still exists. AT&T, you know, Time Warner may not be as powerful as they used to, but they're still there. AT&T is not the monopoly they were, or whatever it was 50 years ago. They're not dominating, but they still exist. They still make some money. So these things don't all disappear. But, and one more example too, with the, you know, just, you know, looking at history, I remember too, when the web started, all these, every article mentioned the most amazing advance. FedEx. You go to, they have a website, you go there, you type in your tracking number, and you can see where your package is right online. Can you believe this? Changing the world. You know, cool feature, great. But was that really what was exciting? You know what? There was no articles at that time saying someday there will be social media. Someday a company will make billions on advertising from your data because you're sharing photos. Nobody predicted that. So what is going to happen? So decentralization is extremely powerful. We've already seen it with Bitcoin. And, you know, there's a lot of other things going on. I don't want to pick any other winners in this video. But another area where I think there's going to be some excitement is gaming. New types of games. So first of all, cryptokitties I think is important to understand and look at. Now, cryptokitties may not turn out to be a huge, you know, the biggest thing ever. But the way the game works, the structure of this type of game, I think is something that eventually, whether it's CryptoKitties or another thing in this genre, will grow into something huge. So CryptoKitties, for those that aren't that familiar, basically they have these, you have like genetics of the cat, and based on the genetics, the cat appears and it looks a certain way. And you can take two cats, and they're two genetics, and then you make them, and it creates a new genetics, and the cat looks differently. And you can sort of think of the genetics as the public key. And you could make two public keys and get a new public key. And based on that genetics or key is what defines what it looks like. And just like a public key is, or I should say your private key, really, but whatever it is, it's not an exact analogy. But just like there's only one private key for your Bitcoin, there's only one genetic makeup for your kitty. And you can breed them to try to make them look a certain way. And if you could get something that's totally unique, not only every genetic is unique, but the look could look so different than anything else. It's a lot, you know, whatever. You can sort of read about it to see. But it goes deeper than that. So now there's a second layer on CryptoKitties. So then someone creates CryptoKitty racing. There's a racetrack and different cats can enter and they race and they win based on their genetics. So theoretically, you might breed your cats to look a certain way. You could also breed your cats to win the race. Now, if the race becomes popular, and maybe there's betting on the race or whatever, and then people start breeding the cats to have the fastest cat. You can sort of see where this goes. And so it's this trusted, immutable base layer that then there's a second layer where you can build off of that. That's sort of what we're seeing in money. But I think we're going to, and we're already sort of seeing that with gaming. And that's something that was never possible before. And keep in mind, when CryptoKitties launched, there's this podcast, Unchained podcast it's called. I think Laura Shin does it. There's a lot of really good podcasts. I've been listening to some of them. And they had one with the CryptoKitties founders. Fascinating. I'm going to listen to it a second time. And what was I going to say? They were like, okay, this is cool. We think this is going to be big. They launched it. It blew up. I mean, you remember how it was in the news. It was 20% or 10%, whatever, of Ethereum transactions for a little while. When something launches and goes super viral, that is a really good sign. So that's another reason I'm optimistic about either CryptoKitties or something similar. Now, but am I buying a kitty? No. And that's maybe a whole other topic of why I'm not specifically. But in general, I have another type of gaming I want to talk about in a second of these pyramid schemes, which I've been sort of harsh on. But through the gaming lens, I don't have to be as harsh. So here's the thing. I originally got into this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, store of value, and this is investing, Warren Buffett style, even though he hates crypto, but just long-term hold investing is my approach. And so gaming is not long-term investing. I put my money into investments. If I wanted to play a game, and I'm not much of a gamer, then gaming is fine, but just don't play games to get rich. You play games to have fun, and if you're good, you make a little money, that's fine. But don't look at it to get rich. So these pyramid schemes, and I've made some videos about that, are not investments, but some of these new smart contract pyramid schemes, if you look at it as a game, it's like gambling. And I don't like to I'm not a gambler, and it's not fun for me. But I get it. If you go gambling and you spend all night playing games, it's fun. And if you don't lose too much, great. And maybe you win, and that's exciting, I guess. It's not for me, but I get it, And so pyramid schemes, too. So pyramids used to be, again, I talked about this in a past video. It was like my mother did a pyramid scheme like 30 years ago. It was like, they were very simple, word of mouth. You put in $100, and then you get your friends, and if they get people, and then you make money back. Very simple. But now with smart contracts, they make these pyramid schemes that are these sort of complex games, and it's a little bit more interesting if you want to get into it. So there was one recently. If you look, you can look it up. FOMO 3D, F-O-M-O 3D, was one of these pyramid things, and there's a lot of features in it. It's kind of interesting. But one of the things was if somebody puts money into the last person to put money into FOMO 3D, if for a period of time nobody else puts in money, then the game's gonna end, and the last person to put money in wins the jackpot. And what somebody figured out was a way to manipulate gas prices and bots and did all these crazy things so that nobody was able to put more money into FOMO 3D. And some guy won a $3 million worth of Ethereum jackpot. I was like, to me, that's hilarious. And a lot of people won, through the game. They won a little bit of money, and some idiot lost $200,000 or $300,000 playing. He created bots, and whatever he was trying to do didn't work, apparently. So, this is not for me, but if you look at it as a game, it's a different type of gaming and gambling that was never possible before. And so that's interesting, and I think that also will be growing. So in conclusion, let me mention one other thing I see in my notes. I just want to, this guy, Nathaniel Whittemore, I follow him on my Twitter. He has tons of great content, and he sort of inspired me to make this, this video. So I wanted to credit him at NLW. He's pretty cool. But anyways, you know, decentralization is a powerful force because it can empower more people. Democracy spread around the world over the last few hundred years because it empowers more people than an autocracy. And the free market empowers anybody to produce and create goods for the economy, as opposed to the centrally planned system, which excludes more people than it excludes. And when decentralization is used to empower, it can be extremely powerful. But decentralization itself is not a magic bullet that can just be applied to anything, and if it's decentralized, we like it. You know, it's not that simple. So maybe we all need to calm down a little. I love that people are excited about decentralization. If you asked me 5 years ago if anybody would be excited about decentralization, I'd be like, I wish I could find one person to talk to me about it. And now it's like, you know, it's sort of, the pendulum has swung. But it's an important concept, and when it comes to Bitcoin and store of value, extremely important. And Ethereum's base layer of trust, of which the CryptoKitties is built on, and other games, and probably the FOMO 3D, I assume, also on the Ethereum, that trusted base layer, will allow many new great things. But most of the new great things will be things that we haven't thought of or are not expecting. And the old players might not be as easy. Maybe the old kings, maybe Facebook will no longer be the greatest king, will not be the king of technology. But I don't think it's going to disappear. It's not going to be wiped out or replaced anytime soon. All right? Let me know your thoughts.